Good evening. If you're listening to this, we are all Indians, inclusive, global, and multicultural event organized by Forces of Renewal, Genocide Watch, the International State Crime Initiative at the Queen Mary University of London in UK, Indian American Muslim Council of the United States, Hindus for Human Rights, Never Again Association, and Genocide Documentation Center in Cambodia. So we are not aligned with any faith, any ideology, but we share concern and advocate for the universal fellowship of all humans. So we are all Indians today. That means that those of us who are fellow humans of Indian nationals in India or in diaspora, as well as those Indians inside India, over 1.4 billion people, all of us are one today. And I am Zani. I am one of the organizers and the host. And this event is truly global in the age where the permanent members, states of the United Nations Security Council are preparing for wars and aggression. And so we turn to civil society organizations because the United Nations institutions and leading nation states have been failing all of us in a distressful situation. So the inspiration for this event came from Tapan Kumar Bose, who is a longtime journalist, a dissident, human rights and refugee rights activist, filmmaker, and a very truly renowned leader in human rights across Asia and beyond. And Tapan's note of concern triggers some of us into action. And even the poster itself, Indonesian graphic designer sister designed it, and a very well-known Thai graffiti artist named Hedek Stensto, or known as Bangsi of Thailand, did the artwork, and the Bangladeshi researcher sister did all the research for me and assisted me. And the webmaster is English, the gentleman working in Tokyo. And there's so many of us here today. The oldest is 92-year-old, the very renowned musician, David Amram, based in New York City. And you will know many of his songs through Hollywood folk hits, such as Manchuria Candidate and others. The youngest would be a Cambodian researcher from the Documentation Center doing her postgraduate studies in South Korea. So we have people from and nationalities of about 24 different countries and over 50 speakers. Now, I have a pleasure to ask Professor Rafal Pankowski of Warsaw, and he's also one of the founders and directors of the Never Again Association based in Warsaw. He's a very progressive-minded, open-minded thinker, activist, and scholar, so much so that his organization, Never Again Association, is recently banned from teaching children and getting into school districts within Auschwitz, the Auschwitz area, because he is, considered too liberal and, anti-nationalist, because Poland is eclipsed by the rising tide of right-wing populist nationalism. Rafal.
Thank you very much indeed for inviting me to participate in this important session. Dear friends, namaste, salam alaikum, dzień dobry, greetings and solidarity from the Never Again Association, an anti-racist and anti-fascist organization established in 1996, based in Warsaw, Poland. Poland, the country where the German Nazis and their collaborators ran the extermination centers, including Auschwitz. and conducted the Holocaust destruction of millions of European Jews, Roma, and other groups, other communities. Warsaw, my city, is the city of the Warsaw Ghetto. Then the Nazi imposed segregation of its population, the daily terror and brutality, but also the city of anti-Nazi resistance. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising of 1943 and the Warsaw Uprising of 1944. And I think it's appropriate in this context to mention what very few people know about, namely the fact that the last issue of the leading Polish progressive cultural weekly, Wiadomości Literackie, just before the outbreak of World War II in September 1939, was devoted to India and Indian culture, with a special message from Mahatma Gandhi about nonviolence. Well, how symbolic and how ironic at the same time. And in our case, the motto, never again, obviously relates to the commemoration of the victims of genocide and totalitarianism in the past. It also relates to the fight against genocide denial and distortion. But importantly, it inspires solidarity with oppressed minorities everywhere, solidarity with struggles for dignity, for equality, and respect for diversity. Before the Holocaust, Poland was one of the most diverse societies in the whole of Europe. Well, diversity, in my view, is a value which needs to be cherished in every decent society. And I believe that India, Myanmar, Poland, and all the other countries can and should be proud of their history of diversity and of their multicultural legacies. Well, fascism is the politics of total cultural homogeneity, which must be resisted and fought against, whatever form it takes, be it online hate speech on big social media platforms, violent hate crime attacks, or discriminatory policies in any field of life. And this struggle, the struggle against fascism, is truly global and a truly common struggle. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafal. This event has been made possible, not monetarily, but spirit of solidarity, all kinds of help from people around the world. The Genocide Watch, the Documentation Center of Genocide in Cambodia, Interstate Crime Initiative at the Queen Mary University of London in UK, and then the Hindus for Human Rights in the US, and the Indian American Muslim Council, the largest Indian Muslim organization of that sort, faith-based organization, and last but not least, Never Again Association based in Warsaw. Thank all the organizational endorsers. It's been enormous privilege to hear all your thoughts, and also I thank every one of you. I'll be in touch, and if you have written comments, or if you want to write up anything, and please send them to me. I will compile them and try to place them in different media outlets that may be empathetic to the Indians who have come under severe state repression. And thank you, and have a good night, or have a good rest of the day wherever you are. Thank you.